A lot. This is the pandemic era, and the pandemic really hit a lot of companies' earnings surprise track records, as you might imagine. I used to keep track of all those companies that had the perfect record, and it was a couple dozen of popular names, companies you mostly know, but that list has been decimated in the last 2 years. And now I'm having a hard time even finding companies that have that perfect 5 year track record. So if you run across one, you better pay attention and sit up and take notice. So I managed to find five that are reporting earnings this week. Let's see who has this amazing track record. So we're leading it off with Johnson and Johnson, ticker JNJ. And as you can see, obviously, it's got a perfect track record. The chart has been a little more mixed. It did have the big sell-off in 2020 and then rebounded as it was a pandemic play. It did have one of the vaccines, and just the drug companies in general have had some momentum the last couple of years. Shares busting out to new 5 year highs here in 2022. Can it hold this? It now has a forward PE of 17.2 with single digit revenue and earnings growth expected for this year. But this is a popular kind of staple in many people's portfolios, and we'll see if they can beat again. Also staying on the staples is Procter & Gamble, also with the perfect track record. This is impressive. And this one too, busting out to basically new highs to start the year, had a bit of a sell-off there in 2022, but has rebounded considerably. Shares are not cheap though, trading at 27 times. So people really going in on companies that have some of this momentum and also kind of stability here in 2022. And they are mostly not tech names. So Procter & Gamble, we'll see if they beat again, but I wouldn't bet against them. Then we're going to have a newbie on the list. One I was surprised when I clicked on this chart and saw that the NASDAQ, ticker NDAQ, does have the perfect track record. This is impressive. It too surging into 2022, but it's been kind of a victim of the tech sell-off as well. The tech and the growth sell-off here, as these shares have pulled back year to date, now down 15%. But shares still on the pricey side with a forward PE of 22. Will they beat again and keep this record? I'm not betting against any of these companies. If they made it through the pandemic quarters back in 2020 with meets or beats, I'm expecting them to keep going with that track record here, but we will see. Then we're going to switch over to Danaher, also another big pandemic winner with that huge rally in 2020 and even 2021. But here in 2022, shares are down about 16% from those nearly highs there to start the year. But it too has obviously the same exciting track record, and it's coming off of some smaller beats here, but just 7% last quarter and another 11% the quarter before. But a beat is still a beat, and they're still able to do it. So I'm not betting against them. Shares are still also on the expensive side at nearly 27 times. So does this one have more to pull back and valuations to come down a bit? We will see. Then we're going to wrap it up with an energy play. Yes, an energy company has a perfect earnings surprise track record. Who knew? But it's Schlumberger, ticker SLB. And it went into the cellar there in 2020 and only recently came out once the vaccine was announced there in late 2020. But they're still beating or meeting every quarter, and these shares are grinding higher here in 22. They're up 44% year to date, but coming off those extremely low levels. Forward PE has now jumped up. It used to be single digits. It's now 23 times. So you are paying more for those earnings, but earnings expected to be up 44% this year on Schlumberger with revenue growth of 13%. That revenue growth puts it in the best position of all five of these companies this year. As we know, energy is the place to be and the place where the growth is. So Schlumberger still's got this track record, and I'm expecting it to meet or beat again, but we're going into it with higher expectations than we have in prior quarters. More eyes will be on it. And sometimes that's the time when a company will miss. But I don't want to guess one way or the other because they've got this great track record even during the dark times of 2020. So I'm not betting against them, but this one will be an interesting one to watch. So as you can see, these are interesting companies. They're in a cross range of industries, but there's really no big tech type names in here unless you do count the NASDAQ, but not really, since that's not really in the same category. But you can find winning companies and winning stocks in a lot of different industries. That's why you should keep your options open, so to speak. And we'll see if these companies can do it again this quarter. They don't like to give up this kind of track record if they can, because it is impressive. It is very difficult to beat every quarter for 5 years. There is always something going on, and this something in the last 5 years was a pandemic. So they've managed to beat through that period. They don't want to disappoint this time. So these are going to be some interesting ones to watch, as well as everything else that's going to be reporting this week, including Netflix and Tesla. So I'm going to be bringing you these earnings charts all earnings season long. You want to subscribe, get them all at Zacks.com/YouTube and on my Twitter feed and Zacks Twitter feed. But get us somewhere, and I'll see you again next time with some more earnings charts.